Hello. What are you looking forward to this year? I ask you, and I asked myself as well. Because it's 2026, it's the beginning of a new year. We should kind of be thinking about what we want to accomplish this year. Maybe you spent the last part of 2025 thinking about that. I know I did. I hope you did. I'm really curious if there are things you're looking forward to. And in order to help kind of stimulate some of that thought for you, I thought I would share some of my failures from 2025 and what that has motivated me to think about in 2026. So usually you show up here, I give you a bunch of news, tell you what's happening in Portland, tell you what's happening in Oregon, maybe more broadly in startups and the startup world. And then, after I kind of sign off, then I give you secrets about what's going on. So at the end of episodes, if you happen to stick around or accidentally leave it playing in the background and stumble upon the secrets section, that's where I kind of share stuff about me or what I'm trying to do or new ideas I've come up with or new experiments I'm going to run. So this whole episode is kind of going to be like a secrets episode. So I hope you're okay with that. There just wasn't a lot of news this week. I mean, it was holiday. It's that weird in between the Christmas holiday and the New Year's holiday, it's very, very quiet. Not a lot of stuff happens. So apart from, some top 10 posts of the year and looking forward and those kind of things, there just wasn't a ton of news. So this will be very me focus, but hopefully in a way that you find valuable. I don't really like the way this is going, but let's just keep rolling. Let's get into my failures in 2025. So at the beginning of last year, I had a number of hypotheses about the startup community in Portland. I was hopeful that, what seemed to be a lingering hangover from the pandemic would finally self-correct. And that did occur kind of organically and through the work of many people in the community. But I had a number of issues, a number of opportunities or problem areas that I wanted to delve into, but I didn't want to do scattershot and try a bunch of different things. So I decided to pick one that I thought could potentially have the most impact on the community. And that hypothesis for 2025 was there are any number of amazing organizations that are supporting the growth of entrepreneurs in our community, helping startups or more traditional entrepreneurship, all doing very important work, sometimes with some overlap, but mostly all focused on helping people more so than they were focused on promoting themselves or what they were doing. So my hypothesis was that there are all these organizations doing work that not enough people know about. I mean, I get into conversations with founders all the time and I rattle off some of these organizations and they're like, I had no idea those organizations existed. I had no idea they were doing that work. And so my hypothesis was maybe we needed to create kind of top of the funnel activity. So up top, above these organizations doing the work, create a bunch of noise, get these organizations together with more people, with bigger groups to socialize what they were doing, to share how they were impacting community, what type of work they tended to do, where they provided value to the community. And maybe if I created a bunch of noise and got a lot of people together and raised the visibility of all these organizations, that would help the community in a meaningful way. As I said, that turned out to be pretty much a failure. I mean, we were able to get a bunch of the community together. We were able to collaborate with a bunch of those organizations and hopefully help raise their visibility. But in the long run, for all of that effort over 6 months of testing that and experimenting, there was no demonstrable value coming out of that. And there was no significant impact. And even more importantly, I found that there were other really important people in the community or companies or organizations that were avoiding those events and specifically told me they would avoid going to those events because they did not have the time or energy to participate in something that they didn't believe had value to them, which is totally fair. That's how you should do things. You should be focused on things that are providing value to you. And if attending community events is not one of those things, then I totally get that. But I still wanted to test it. And a number of people are like, no, you're wrong. This is not going to work. This is not going to help the community. And I was like, well, I appreciate that perspective, but I need to test it to figure out if it will help the community. So going back, you were right. Those of you who said that to me, you were right. It was not terribly helpful. But I mean, people enjoyed it. Like, we got a lot of people together. I just don't feel like it did anything. Like, you get a lot of people together and nothing comes out of it. You get a lot of people together again, nothing comes out of it. It just what is the point of getting all the people together if nothing's going to come out of it or nothing's going to happen? So that was my 2025 test. And that was really a quantity over quality play. How many people could we get in the room? How much noise could we make? What sort of impact could we have that was fairly based on numerical and nothing else? Like, how many RSVPs did we get? How many people actually showed up? Like, those kind of things. And it didn't work. It failed. So it failed. But we learned something. And that what I learned was, even though a lot of people ask for that kind of stuff, that high level kind of thing, it's not generating the value in the community that I want to be generating. So there's still room to do that work. And I'm sure any number of organizations could step in and do that work. If you think that's something that needs to be done, I encourage you to step up and do that work, because there's definitely the opportunity to do so. There's definitely space to do so, but it's not for me. So 2026, I'm going to flip the script. I'm going to totally switch it. So instead of thinking of quantity, I'm going to be thinking of quality over quantity. So working on much smaller, more specific kind of gatherings, or making sure two people know one another, or using that energy and time I would have used for programming and planning and organizing bigger events, and the money spent on organizing bigger events, and focusing that on more explicit, kind of exclusive, I guess is a more is a way to put it, kind of like exclusive. This isn't going to be focused on how can we create minimal impact for the most people, and it's going to focus more on how can I work to create meaningful, valuable, maximum impact for a smaller subset of folks in the community. And that's the hypothesis I need to test this time around. If I focus doing work on a smaller subset of folks in the community and doing everything I can to generate value for them, to help them in their pursuits, then does that kind of rising water floats all boats kind of activity in the Portland startup community. So that's what I'm testing in 2026. Stay tuned. I'll let you know, obviously, like I did with this, how that's going, or where it's working or where it's not working, or those kind of things. But it's very much quality over quantity for me in 2026. So I'm not chasing the numbers anymore. I'm looking for high impact, high value with very specific people and their startups or their pursuits or their investments or what have you. So that's my primary area of focus. And then the other thing that dawned on me throughout 2025 that I'm working to correct in 2026 is I have become very, very reactive to people. So I have, gotten into the habit of waiting for people to reach out to me or ask me for things or ask me to connect them to other people. And that is both inefficient and unfair, in my opinion. Now I'm going to focus on how do I become more proactive in that regard? How do I recognize those opportunities where there are two people who I know who don't happen to know one another but would derive value from knowing one another? How do I proactively create those relationships, make those introductions? How do I proactively bring people into the same room, even if they're not asking for it? How do I help, kind of form stronger bonds within the community, because our community is only as strong as the very weakest connection between two people in our community. And me sitting back and waiting for people to prompt me on the folks I should be introducing is kind of ridiculous. It should be my job to look through the folks I know, the folks I engage with, and make sure actively that I'm connecting them on a consistent basis, that I'm connecting those dots, that I am working to figure out those points of connection and those points of overlap and those points of potential opportunity, and just ensuring that those people are connected. So that is another thing I'm focusing in on in 2026 is that, being proactive, again, quality. How do we enhance the quality of our community? How do I enhance the quality of the connections among the people I know or among the people in our community that I have a chance to influence? All quality. That's where I'm focused in 2026. Obviously, this YouTube channel will not be all quality. I will continue to record a video every week, whether there's news or not. I want to make sure that has a consistent cadence. I enjoy doing that. I'm blogging anyway. I'm writing all that stuff up. I want to make sure I share it with you and that you get the information you need in the most efficient way possible. But that's what I'm looking forward to in 2026 is higher quality. All around, higher quality programming, higher quality events, higher quality networking or connecting dots. It's connecting dots. I think I mentioned this, but I actually spent some time just vibe coding a little system for me that helps me better understand who's in my network, who I've connected to whom, which connections are missing, so I can be more proactive about that, as well as I built some GitHub style grid stuff that shows me these are how many people you've interacted with, in terms of the kind of heat map activity. So, if it gets really, really green, you've done a really good job of connecting a lot of people on a particular day. Same thing for intros. I have a grid for intros. So I'm going to make it my job to fill out that grid on the weekdays. Make sure I'm making intros with people. And if I'm not, I will see on the grid, I'm like, you haven't made any intros today. You should probably make one. You should probably figure out one. Or you've been asked for these intros. You should probably get those intros done and make sure people are connected. So it's this way, it was for me to vibe code and really just give me a way to visualize whether I'm doing the work I intend to do in 2026. So if you have systems like that, or you have, processes and ways of motivating yourself to do that kind of stuff, or keeping yourself on task, I would love to hear about that. I would love to hear about what you're expecting or excited about in 2026. And of course, I always hopeful that I get the chance to run into you in the community, maybe make some intros for you, maybe connect you to some folks you need to know in the community. So hang in there. Happy 2026. And until we get the chance to chat again, please keep up the good work.